Hi there, this is Tim Curtis, Town Manager, Town of Madison. I'd like to remind folks about the upcoming annual town meeting, Monday, June 13th, 7 o'clock. It'll be held at the junior high auditorium in Madison, as it usually is. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some of the items we'll be discussing at that meeting. It's going to be pretty unique because it's been several years since we've had to deal with an issue as large as the closing of Madison Paper. As most of you are aware, recently Madison Paper stopped producing and they are in the process now of beginning to lay off employees, beginning to clean up and scrub down the facility to prepare it for sale. As far as we know, the sale process will be an ongoing process throughout the summer, where a number of entities will have an opportunity to put in a bid price for either the mill in its entirety or perhaps just for the hydroelectric dams and maybe other parts of the mill. So we don't really have a whole lot of details to talk about in that regard at town meeting, but we want folks to be aware that we took the big tax hit back in 2014 when the value of Madison Paper went down from $229 million down to $80 million. And as many of you are aware, we raised the tax rate, we took some of our undesignated fund balance and used that to pay the budget, and we took out a line of credit about $2.5 million. Well, to date, we have not had to use any of that line of credit, and I think we've been able to manage our finances fairly well. What the tax rate will be this coming summer is still to be determined, and a lot of that has to do with the sale of Madison Paper. So again, we won't have any final numbers on the valuation of town or the tax rate till later on, probably in August or early part of September. What we will know at town meeting is where our budgets are, and I'm pleased to say that all three aspects of the budget came in either equal to last year or lower than last year. The municipal budget is down about $40,000. The school budget, which was recently approved at referendum, is equal to last year at just over $4.9 million. And the portion that Madison pays for the county tax has gone down. Even though the overall county budget did go up by a few $100,000, our portion has gone down due to our lower state valuation. So as a whole, we'll be looking to raise from taxation about $7 million this year, and we'll go over that in detail at the town meeting on June 13th. The goal from the Board of Selectmen continues to be as such: to provide excellent services for the people of Madison at a competitive tax rate. And like I said, the tax rate is something that the Board of Selectmen will look very closely at and take very seriously in the next couple of months. Mainly because we want to be able to provide excellent services. And one of the things that I'm really pleased with to hear the news that Madison schools were ranked higher, both nationally and in state rankings, than they had been in many, many years. And actually they made some of the top lists in the report issued by U.S. News and World Report. That says a lot about our school board, our staff, students and faculty, and the work that they've done to improve the quality of education in town, while at the same time reducing their budget as they have done over the last several years. As many of you know, this is the first year that our policing in Madison has been under the direction of the Somerset County Sheriff's Office. And I'd like to thank Sheriff Lancaster for the great work he has done. He's been in constant communication with me and other municipal officials, and he's provided great leadership to our officers. As many of you are aware, all of our officers are new, and so they provide a fresh approach, but also they will be requiring quite a bit of training. The budget for the county providing the services of policing for the town of Madison went up by less than 1%. In the previous year's budget, we paid $481,000. The proposed budget will be for $485,000. So we hope that we'll continue to see continued growth and improvement in that policing program. At the end of the town meeting, we'll be discussing several ordinances changes and updates to current ordinances and some new ordinances. I want people to be aware that there'll be 5 ordinances you'll be voting on at town meeting. One will have to do with processes in our cemetery ordinance. Another will have to do with building permits, lot sizes. There's a local foods ordinance that provides some protection for local farmers who want to sell their products locally here, either at a farmer's market or out of their home. So that will be on the agenda. And probably something that's gotten a lot of attention lately is our property maintenance ordinance. We've gone through the public hearing process over the last 6 months to determine just what sort of changes should we make to kind of balance out property rights and property values. At some of these public hearings, we got a lot of feedback from people that they didn't want us to go too far into what would be considered zoning. There was an idea that had been tossed around about separating Madison, the town, into several different categories where some ordinances would be enforced more heavily in one area and less heavily in another. We heard loud and clear from the residents of Madison that's not what they wanted. If they had to have ordinances, they wanted them to be enforced across the board regardless of where people lived in town. So that idea of separating the town into different sections, that has been eliminated, and that's not what we'll be discussing at the town meeting on June 13th. There's only some small minor changes to the property maintenance ordinance, which allows for a little bit of additional enforcement power. It's a difficult issue because, again, as I said, we're trying to balance everyone's property rights to do what they want to do with their property with property values, because as properties deteriorate next to yours through lack of maintenance and repair, it not only affects that property's value, but it also affects your property value. So we're trying to work our way through to a common sense balanced approach. And finally, I think one thing that we'll be discussing is the Board of Selectmen's decision to eliminate the curbside recycling program from the budget this year. In the past years, the town has spent between $38,000 and $40,000 to pay for a contractor to come and pick up recyclables and transport them over to the waste management facility in Norwich Walk. After looking closely at this, the Board of Selectmen did not think that this was fiscally responsible. So the question really comes down to, should the town spend $40,000 of taxpayer money to provide a service that perhaps a private contractor could provide? And here's the real issue. How many people are really using it? The fact of the matter is we really couldn't get any real hard data, but our best estimates were probably less than 10% of the households in town were using something that all of the taxpayers were paying for. So that's a discussion we'll have on Monday night at the town meeting. We'll be finalizing the budget, and as I said, talking about several of these ordinance changes. If you have questions between now and then, please don't hesitate to give us a call at the town office at 696-3971. And we look forward to seeing you 7 o'clock Monday night, June 13th, for the annual Madison Town Meeting.